My name is Sarah, and I am 27 years old. I grew up in a small town where everyone knew each other. My life was simple and quiet. I worked as a teacher at the local school and lived with my parents. My dream was to travel the world, but life had other plans for me. One day, my parents called me to the living room. They looked serious, and I knew something important was about to happen. My father cleared his throat and said, "Sarah, we have found a good match for you. His name is Daniel. He is 30 years old and runs a successful business in the city. His family is very respectable." I was shocked. Marriage was not on my mind. I barely knew Daniel, and I had only seen him a few times at community events. My mother added, "Sarah, this is a good opportunity. You will have a secure future with Daniel. He is a good man." I wanted to protest, but I could see the hope in their eyes. My parents had always supported me, and I didn't want to disappoint them. So I agreed to meet Daniel. The meeting was arranged at a small cafe. Daniel was polite and well-mannered. He talked about his work, his family, and his goals. He seemed like a nice person, but there was no spark between us. I didn't feel any connection. However, he seemed happy with the idea of marrying me. He said, "I believe we can make this work, Sarah. We will build a good life together." I nodded, unsure of what to say. Deep down, I knew this was not the love story I had dreamed of, but I convinced myself that love could come later. My parents were thrilled when I told them I was ready to marry Daniel. Preparations began, and soon the wedding day arrived. The ceremony was grand, and everyone seemed happy. I wore a beautiful white dress, and Daniel looked handsome in his suit. As we exchanged vows, I couldn't help but feel a sense of emptiness. I was marrying a man I barely knew, and I didn't love him. After the wedding, we moved to Daniel's apartment in the city. It was a big change for me. I missed my parents and my small-town life. Daniel was kind and respectful, but our relationship felt distant. We were like strangers living under the same roof. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. I tried to adjust to my new life. I took care of the house, cooked meals, and tried to be a good wife. Daniel was busy with his work and often came home late. We rarely spent time together. When we did talk, our conversations were polite but lacked depth. One evening, as I was cleaning the living room, I found an old photo album. It was full of pictures from Daniel's childhood and college days. I saw a different side of him in those photos. He looked happy and carefree, surrounded by friends and family. I realized that there was so much about him I didn't know. Curious to know more, I asked Daniel about his past. He was surprised but opened up. He told me about his dreams, his struggles, and the people who had shaped his life. For the first time, I felt like I was getting to know him. I shared my own stories too, and he listened with interest. Our conversations became more frequent, and slowly, we started to understand each other better. Daniel began to make an effort to spend more time with me. He took me out for dinner, planned weekend trips, and even helped me with household chores. These small gestures made a big difference. One day, Daniel surprised me with a gift. It was a plane ticket to Paris. He remembered that I had once mentioned my dream of traveling. "I know this marriage didn't start with love, Sarah," he said, "but I want to make you happy. Let's create new memories together." Tears filled my eyes as I realized how much he cared. We went to Paris, and it was the most magical experience of my life. We explored the city, tried new foods, and laughed together. For the first time, I felt a genuine connection with Daniel. Over time, our relationship grew stronger. We learned to appreciate each other's strengths and accept each other's flaws. Love didn't happen overnight, but it blossomed slowly, like a flower opening its petals. Looking back, I never imagined that I would marry without love. But life is unpredictable. Sometimes love comes in unexpected ways. Today, I am grateful for Daniel and the life we have built together. Our journey was not perfect, but it taught me that love is not just a feeling. It is a choice and a commitment to grow together.